Hello YouTube, this is White One Auto checking in, and we have a 1970 Chevelle that hit a pothole real hard. And you can see it hit the pothole real hard that it completely sheared the top of the ball joint off. The ball joint is still secure in the socket. That's just how strong these aftermarket tubular control arms are if you get them from a good company. So what we're doing suspension wise is we're doing upper and lower control arms. So a new lower, new upper. We have a new spindle, new wheel bearing, an outer tie rod end. The wheel did not have a scratch on it at all, but the tire was cut pretty bad. You can see these cuts in the tire. The tread is cut, so we're getting a new tire. The wheel is fine, but on the passenger side, the wheel hit the curb pretty bad there, so we're getting a new wheel and tire over here, as well as in the back. We are getting a new wheel because it hit the curb there as well. The only body damage I've seen so far over here is we were asked to repair the fender, replace the trim, and on this side, right now the insurance company is telling us to replace this fender, replace the door, and then paint the whole left side of the car, the entire front end, on the right side blend into the quarter and all the way back, and hope that it matches. I hope we can get a real good match, and if that doesn't work, this insurance company is really good. If you actually give a good attempt at it and we're not able to match the candy paint, then they'll just go ahead and tell us to paint the whole car. So that's why it is important to have classic car insurance. It is really cheap. You set your value, and when you have an accident, they jump right on it. Like this happened last Friday. I got the estimate Monday, so I overnighted the suspension parts yesterday, and we're gonna hang the suspension parts, get the car back rolling. My spindle didn't come in yet, so we're not gonna be able to put the spindle on, but we are gonna get the car back rolling. And I got wheels ordered, and everything's gonna be moving. So it is May 25th. So hopefully we can still get some summertime in this car. I think we can, because the insurance company is moving real good, and we're gonna knock this thing out. So even if you have accident damage on your old school or classic car, White One Auto can take care of that. And this car looks beautiful, even with the dent. So we're gonna get started and get this thing back rolling. So remember to like, subscribe, and comment. And if you need any work done, you can reach us here at the shop, 313-264-1689, and we do it all. Thank you. So this is our control arm off of our 1970 Chevelle, the one involved in the accident. So we pretty much got everything off the left-hand side. We got our spindle off, our sway bars out. The tie rod is out, the upper control arm is out. So we are replacing a spindle, a sway bar, upper and lower control arms, and outer tie rod end. But I wanted to point out some of the difference between the Global West and the UMI control arm. They're both pretty much the same, but they do have some subtle differences. And one difference that I truly like. So on the Global West control arm, the spring pocket is a separate isolator that mounts in, and that's what locates your coil spring. As well as the nuts for the shock mount are welded into the lower control arm. On the UMI one, the locator is welded into the spring pocket, and there's just a straight through hole, and then you're going to use a nut and bolt to mount your shock. They use a logo brace to support the coil spring pocket and to tie it into the coil, and to tie it into the control arm. On Global West, there is a bar that ties the spring pocket in. They both take the same type of sway bar mount with this style shackle right here. You can see that on the UMI as well. They both come with a bump stop. They both have bump stops. But one feature I really like about the UMI control arms is you can see where your grease fittings are on your Global West control arms. So remember, this thing sits up. So this is gonna be up. It'll be a little bit difficult to reach. but you can do it because you can see these were greased because we just changed the oil on this car not too long ago. But what I really like on your UMI control arm is that the grease fittings are underneath. So your grease fittings are down here. So this is pointing down when it's mounted on the car. So you get really good access to the grease fittings, which would encourage a person to grease them a lot more. So that is a really nice feature. So we're gonna get these installed on the car and then we'll check back in. So these are our UMI upper control arms, and you can see they're a little bit different. Where the bump stop on the Global West control arm is made onto the bottom of the control arm. For the UMI one, we use a bump stop that bolts onto the frame in the stock location. You can see the design differences, as well as make sure you read the instructions, because on this shaft here, like one side is thicker than the other side, and that's to give you more or less negative camber, whichever you prefer. So really read the instructions, and they also have like the alignment setting in here. So we'll go ahead and get these installed. Hey, so we got our front suspension back together on our Chevelle on the driver's side. So we got our UMI upper control arms, our UMI lower control arms. We're using a UMI stock ride height spring. It always had CPP C5 brakes on it. So we got a new knuckle, new wheel bearing, and a new steering arm because it was hit on this side. New outer tie rod end, new inner tie rod end. We're waiting on a shock. And just because we're so busy, we're gonna get this thing back rolling so we can kind of get the body work going. And then once we get a break, we will then come in and get the passenger side done. But one thing I want to point out, remember this car originally had the Global West control arms, as you can see, and we added the UMI ones. The one feature I really like about the UMIs is that the grease fitting is down here. You can see that it's a little bit easier to reach than your Global West ones, which is up here. Let me see, where is it at? Right there. You can still reach it because we always grease them anyway, but probably if you took it to like a oil change place, they probably wouldn't grease it for you because it's a tad bit hard to reach. So we haven't greased anything yet because I was going to be touching a lot of stuff. So I'll grease it now. And then once again, like I say, I thank you guys for chiming in with us here at White One Auto. So we'll get this thing back rolling. We're still waiting on a couple parts, but we're going to keep the show going. Thank you. White One Auto, 313-264-1689.